For the past year, the Syrian people have been under attack from their own government. President Bashar al-Assad has descended his country into complete turmoil and destruction. His regime has done nothing for the people of Syria. President Assad is clearly an awful leader who doesn't understand the fact that he has the power to help his people. Instead, he abuses it and pushes the Syrians away. Assad wasn't even supposed to be president in the first place. His brother, Bashar al-Assad, had been groomed for the presidency. However, he had unexpectedly died in an automobile accident, giving the spot of presidency to Bashar. Since Bashar was a poor leader, the people started to protest. Instead of rationally dealing with the issue, his army attacked the protesters, who were completely unarmed. Assad was possibly worried about an uprising, like what had been happening recently in other Middle Eastern countries. His actions, however, started an uprising on their own. Many Syrians were tired of the constant oppression of their lives, and even more hatred spread. It eventually got to the point where protesters brought weapons to defend themselves at demonstrations. This only led to more fighting and bloodshed, heavily weighted in the government's favor. The Syrian people then began to actively fight against the government forces. They were and still are fighting for their freedom and paying with their lives. So much violence and destruction has occurred so far, 8,000 Syrians dead, that all of this is irreversible. The only hope for the Syrian people is to continue to fight and wait for outside intervention, hopefully in their favor. This video shows the fighting that is constantly going on and the toll that is taken on the country.
Just moments before this hero's welcome, they were the enemy. Newly defected soldiers that could have been firing on these very people or manning checkpoints to choke this neighborhood. But now, it seems all is forgiven.
Can you just ask him how he feels? He's talking Arabic.
كيف شعورك هلا بعد ما انشقيت؟
كيف معلمي الله وكيل حياة ثانية يعني حياة ثانية.
لا من نركع للعين، لا من نضطهد نحن شعب كرمنا الله، ما راح نركع للعين، ما راح نركع لبشار الأسد، نحن هاي حريتنا، نعيش بين ناسنا وأهلنا.
نحن بنطلب من كل عسكري هلا لازم ينشاف، وكل ضابط لازم ينشاف.
أقسمنا بالجيش أن ندافع عن الوطن والشعب، نحن ما بندافع إلا عن الشعب، والله حرام ما نقول شيء.
Opposition activists have said these defectors are the best chance they have against President Bashar al-Assad's forces. So there isn't much time to celebrate. They have to go back to the front line to fight their former comrades. Free Syrian Army fighters have been holding the line for weeks. But they're lightly armed, surrounded, and without more supplies, every bullet counts. This is typical urban warfare. Run, hit and hide. Government snipers could be anywhere. Though this police vehicle looks empty, this is as close as they can get. Assad's men are on the other side of the street. These men have gone from organized columns of soldiers to a guerrilla fighting force. They say they're the only ones standing between the civilians and the government's forces. As night falls and it gets quiet, a chance to sit together over a warm meal. There's time for a few laughs, but they're always at the ready, making sure weapons are loaded and they're ready to fight. They know there's a good chance they could lose this battle. Assad's men have more guns, but the defectors say they don't care, as long as they're fighting on what they believe is the right side. Jane Ferguson, Al Jazeera.
The Free Syrian Army, or FSA, along with the government forces, are waging a guerrilla war. Battles are fought in discrete apartment blocks, blown out by constant shelling, across populated roads, in the mountains, and among civilian activities. The FSA is struggling, as any rebellion would, with supplies such as heavy weapons and ammo. It is very hard to procure a working weapon at nearly $2,000 for an AK-47 and $2 per AK-47 bullet. Many people in countries surrounding Syria see the need for supplies and wish to help. There are countless weapon smugglers that bring in supplies out of the country to aid the FSA. Because of the uprising, many ordinary people have left their old lives behind. In exchange, they are completely committed to the cause and do whatever they can to get the upper hand. Without substantial outside aid, however, the prospects of a successful rebellion often seem out of reach. The UN and many other big-hitting countries see the need for aid, but they can't get into Syria without a full-out invasion. The government keeps covering up what is really going on. But many images and videos have made it out of Syria that show what is really happening. Former Secretary General of the UN, Kofi Annan, has come forward with a 6-point peace plan for the ongoing crisis. Many nations accept this as a viable option, and Assad himself agreed with the terms, though they have not been upheld so far. As a civilian trying to live in the hell that is the streets of Syria, there are dangers that one faces every day. The danger of being killed or having your home raided or destroyed by government thugs is equal to the danger of being captured and tortured to death. Civilians often go out every night to protest in their area. At these protests, they sing chants and songs, both historical and newly made ones of freedom. The protests keep the people who aren't fighting going every day. It gives them hope and confidence. The army has committed terrible acts against their own people. Mass killings of innocent families. These are the reasons why many soldiers are defecting and joining the FSA. The defectors are essential to the success of the uprising because of their military training. There is no foreseeable outcome to this crisis, but hopefully something is worked out soon. The Syrian people can't wait any longer while the dead pile up. The government needs to be ousted as soon as possible, or there won't be any Syria left to fight for.